Hello everybody. So this video I am going to announce I'll call it my dream game project idea. So the project we're going to for now call it Buckeye State Patrol. And the game is going to be based on an Ohio map. So as you can see here, the main objective is the player gets to choose between either being a civilian or a police officer. The first part of the map, which I will actually show you what I've done in Unity, so I actually got some 3D roads and stuff ready. But before we get there, I want everybody to understand the area we're going to start with. It's going to be the interchange area on Akron highways. So Interstate I-77, which goes north and south, and Interstate I-76, which goes east and west. So northeast, southwest highways. They meet at a couple of different points. One of them is in Akron they'll call it the Central Interchange. And for the sake of this video, I'll call it the Highway Interchange in Akron. Long story short, assuming you're going any direction, so if you're going north on the highway, you need to go east, south, or west, you have that option. Once you hit the interchange, you basically have the option to go any way. So based on that, I have a couple of cities that I think we could start with this project. The first city is going to be Akron itself. It's going to be dubbed the Rubber City. The next city, which is if you're on, we'll just call this in Akron on the highway already, you would go 76 east of Akron to hit Kent, and that would be Flashville. Barberton, which is going to be I-76 west from Akron, it's going to be dubbed the Magic City. Canton, which is the first city that's going to be south of Akron, I-77 south, it's going to be called Legends City. If you know anything about Canton, Ohio, it's where the Pro Football Hall of Fame is, so that's why we've dubbed it Legends City. Cleveland, we've renamed it to Erie Land because Lake Erie's up there. Cleveland actually sits right on Lake Erie, so I've renamed it Erie Land. And to get from Akron to Cleveland, you go 77 north. So all these cities, if you're on the interchange, you will be able to basically go on the interchange and hit all these cities. And then the last one is going to be the capital city, which is also known as Columbus, Ohio. Ohio State Buckeyes, shout out. That's where they play. That city is going to be south of Akron. And because we've already gone south of Akron, which is Canton and or Legend City, Capital City is actually going to be even more south of that. So if you already remember that we went south to go from Akron to Legend City and or Canton, you just keep on going south. It's probably another hour and a half or so. But if you keep going south, you'll eventually hit Columbus, and we'll dub that for this game Capital City. So as we move on here, we have a table of contents. So that first page was the overview. This page is the table of contents. The next page, I actually have some AI generated stuff I want to talk a little bit about. It's the concept of what I believe the game kind of looks like a little bit from my head. So I was kind of able to draw an AI picture, or I'll say generate an AI picture of what I think the game should look like. And then 4, I have a little bit of ideas on what some of the game menus look like and some of the role-playing ideas. So let's go ahead and move on to the concept of driving. I'll show the picture first, and then I'll kind of explain it. So here's a picture of what gameplay would look like. Obviously, if you were playing in the game, you'd see some more cars on the highway and stuff, but for the sake of this, I think it looks pretty good. So what I think I would like to see from my game is I would like a mini-map in the top right-hand corner of the map. If you're either on foot or driving, you're always going to see the mini-map. And then you'll notice the top middle of the screen here, you see a direction that you're heading and then which highway you're on. So in this case, this person in the game world would be on I-77 north and heading north, which would make sense. So that's kind of what I would like to see if somebody's in a car. If they're not in a car, we would still have the northeast southwest probably be a little smaller in the road, but it's not going to be as big. We want it a little bit bigger when we're driving. When we're on foot, we still are going to have the mini map and tell people where we're going, I think. Something to think about. This is all very early stage. I haven't even built this yet. This is just what I want it to look like. So that's kind of where we're moving with this. Next, so here are some ideas I have for some of the menus and how they would look in the game. So when you're in a car, there's going to be a wheel menu, and then the wheel menu there's going to be some options. So you're going to have lights. So if you want to have external lights or extra lights, you can change the lights on your car. If you want to have a megaphone and or just a regular horn, if you have those options, you can change those options. Radio, there'll be lots of options with the radio, so I'm thinking, if possible, include internet radio in with the game. Like, the game will have its own radio, and then if somebody wanted to connect to Pandora or really any link that would be compatible, I would have to figure out some kind of system to write for that, but I assume it wouldn't be too hard to do that. Now, let's keep in mind that this particular menu I'm talking about now is for civilians, so we'll get to cop radios and that kind of stuff later, but for this particular one that I'm talking about, this is for civilian cars. So, GPS, we're not going to really have on the car. We're going to have that as part of the map. So if you go to the mini map and or just the map, kind of like if you pause the game, and or if there's another way to access the map once we get the game going, basically if you set a destination on the map, that'll automatically set everything in the car's GPS. So we'll kind of have that going. Maybe we'll have more than one if you have a couple places you want to hit. We'll figure that out later, but that's kind of just my idea that we have going now. And then also trunk options. So if you want to store stuff in your trunk, spare tires, whatever, we'll have some options there. And then a tow hitch. I do think it's a good idea to be able to tow things, but most specifically, it makes sense for like an ATV. If you want to drive like an ATV in some of the trails in the game, you should be able to tow an ATV. So obviously, we'll be able to tow other things like boats or whatever, but that's kind of an idea that I had for that. Now, moving on, same concept, but instead of civilian cars, we have cop cars now. So the options for the wheel are going to be some obvious things like a radar for speed, an ALPR system to read license plates, multiple radio systems, so actual radio like AM, FM radio, and then police radio systems. Most police have multiple radio systems, so you have your standard patrol, then you have your pursuit channels, and then you have your channels that you join in with other jurisdictions. So say that you're a local cop and highway patrols letting you guys know that there's a felon coming through your local highway, you probably want to change to one of those stations if you're one of the local cops on the highway on looking out for one of those in that particular scenario, looking out for that person. So a lot of stuff going on there, but it's just kind of some ideas. Also traffic equipment, so cones, if you're going to run some traffic stuff or DUI stop, you might want a traffic torch or some barriers, some lights, stuff like that. Guns will also be able to be used in cars. Certain cars you'll be able to use more guns. So if you have an open convertible, obviously you're going to have less restricting guns than you would be shooting out of a window. So just kind of stuff like that. If you're in a military or convoy car, then you probably have an option to shoot some more guns as well. Some roleplay ideas. So for civilian, if you're going to be a civilian, the main thing you're going to want to do is make money and progress through the games. Some of your choices have consequences. If you're going to go 100 miles per hour on the highway, you're probably going to get pulled over and get some tickets. If you go around shooting a bunch of people in the game world, then you're probably going to get incarcerated for murder. So the choices that you make, you are responsible for in the game. Now, the person or the people playing the games, they can have as many characters as they want. So if you have 100 characters that are incarcerated because you just want to go in the game and shoot at people and get arrested every time, you're more than welcome to do that. There's really no limit I don't think we're going to have for this. So you can be multiple civilian characters, you can be multiple cop characters. I don't see any reason to have a limit on it. The more you play as a character, likely the more you're going to have access to. So if you're a cop and you've done 100 patrols, you're probably going to have access to like the nicer sports cars than you would if you were playing as day one patrol. So just keep that in mind as well. But there is going to be a progression system. For cops, there's going to be at least 3. When I say at least 3, you'll see why we'll be getting to some more options once I explain these 3. But to first, we'll start with city patrol, local cops. Not every city in Ohio and or the game that I'm going to create is actually going to have police. For the sake of the big cities like Rubber City, Legend City, definitely Capital City, they're all going to have local police. So some of the cities in between, like some of the smaller towns, they might not, and that's specifically so the sheriffs, they have a little more areas to patrol. Obviously, sheriffs get the whole county, so they can patrol in the city if they want to, but most of the time, the sheriffs don't patrol in the middle of the city unless they've been asked for help or they know that there's some kind of crime detail going on. So yeah, sheriffs are going to patrol the areas with the local police. They're going to be the main ones that are executing the warrants, and then they're also the main ones that are going to be transporting people to and from jails. Highway patrol, the main goal for them is to patrol state routes and the highways. They are also the main helicopter sport in the game. I'm sure there are some local helicopter police units in Ohio, but most of the ones that I've seen on YouTube are from the Ohio State Patrol, because when they know that something's going down, it seems like Ohio State Patrol, they always have the helicopters ready. So for the sake of our game, we'll still have sheriff and local helicopters, but when maybe you're calling back up, you might not see them as much as you're seeing Highway Patrol, just because we're going to designate Highway Patrol as the main helicopter sport. So with that being said, there's obviously going to be some other areas for police. So we're going to have some park rangers. We're going to have some other police, like maybe security, maybe even like hospital police, because that does exist in Ohio. You'll see some metro police for like the bus systems. So there's a lot of different police departments that are not mentioned that could eventually make its way into the game. I'm not set on just this, and I'll even put park ranger in here because I do want park ranger to be something that I put in pretty early. And then with that, all that being said, that's what I have so far as explaining the game. As far as creating the game, I'm going to hop over to Unity, and you can see here that I've actually imported some of the Akron map. So right here is the central interchange. You can see north, east, southwest, kind of the bigger roads all hit it. Right now it needs edited and I need to do more things with it, but that's basically the central interchange right here. So that's kind of how I'm going to start with this map. Eventually, I'm going to create a website and get more of this stuff posted because I need help. I am not an expert. I do not know how to create a 3D game world of Ohio. I know there's going to be at least hopefully some other people that are interested in helping me out with this. So anybody who thinks that they might be interested in creating a game, especially if you're from Ohio, I mean, if your city was not mentioned, I have no problem eventually incorporating your city into this game. But I do think I want to start with Akron, so just respect that. That is where I want to start. And then if once moving on from Akron, I have no problem doing other cities. I just want people to know that the first city I want to focus on is the Akron area, mainly because the central interchange, I think it's going to be easy to create a highway system and then cities off that highway system. So that's kind of where we're at with this. This is where we have. This is the dream game that I want to create. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to do my best to stay available for anybody else that might be interested and wants to help me build this game. Right now, I obviously am not in the process and willing to pay anybody, but if people want to donate to this cause eventually and we get a big donation, I have absolutely no problem paying people. I don't even care if I make a penny on this right now. I just want to make this a reality. And once I make this a good game that I would want to play for hours on end, then I'll start worrying about who's getting paid and how much it's going to cost and all that shenanigans. But I think I plan on keeping this game open most of the time. So like here we are on day 2 of me explaining this game, really day 1 of explaining it, day 2 of me showcasing it on YouTube. I have a map here, so it's not like I'm going to be hiding anything from this. If I actually get this into a drivable place and we get some buildings down and some highway signs, I'll post it on YouTube. There's no reason that I need to hide any progress. So I definitely want to be open with this. This is my dream game. I don't know what else to say other than I really hope that this goes somewhere. Even if I only create one city, which is not the goal. The goal is to create many cities, multiple role plays, highway systems. You know, that's the goal. But I really hope that we can make this become a reality. So anybody listening to this, and if you made it this far, if you're interested in creating a game world, you're probably, and you don't have any experience, or even if you do, but speaking specifically to the people that don't have any experience, I'm right there with you. I've never really created a game. The most I've done is go on YouTube and try to learn some things. So here we are. I'm going to post everything here, and then eventually as I create a website, I'll get the PDF of the plan up so other people can kind of see it. But hopefully this video is enough to show you my dream and where I want to go with this. So here's to hopefully making a game that's a 3D open world game where you can drive around, walk around, and play in an Ohio map.